Did you used to run a fitness class at the Snowmass Club?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I ran one at the same time.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I was doing a fitness class and a boxing class there.
Yeah. So I remember the fitness class starting up. I was running like a functional fitness style, military style class there.
Oh, that's
I
great.
remember meeting you and you came in with two black eyes or maybe one black eye, but definitely a black eye.
That was after my first fight.
Yes.
That was
it
literally
your
right
first
after
fight.
my first fight. Oh, I remember you.
Oh, Ariel, welcome to the CruciFit podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. We'll get into it soon. Chris will give a quick introduction, but you're our second Ariel in 10 episodes.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Who did you talk to?
Ariel Lowen. She's like an elite CrossFitter.
Oh, great. Here in the Valley?
No.
Oh,
She's in
okay,
Texas.
gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's rare.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the meaning of the word Ariel?
Line of God.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
We found that out on the podcast.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
So we're big lion people.
Oh, me too. I mean, obviously.
Big lion people.
Yeah.
And then, so Ariel Lowen has this line of hair clips and shirts and her logo and everything's a lion.
Oh.
And so we had planned on asking her about why a lion.
Yeah.
When we got there, she's like, well, Ariel means lion. And then
Lion of God. And then she married her husband whose last name was Lowen, which also means lion. So now she's Lion of God Lion.
yeah.
Wow.
Right?
What?
So cool.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, meant to be.
So we try to touch on the lion every time we can.
Oh yeah, no. Now that I've been reading the Bible to my son, my 5-year-old son, he's like, I want Daniel. I want the story of Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, buddy, I'm not. I will absolutely read that over and over again.
That's cool.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, he just had his 5th birthday party and we had it here and it was all lion themed.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I don't know if there was, a coincidence between the two, but he wanted lions, so we did lions.
That's jam. Maybe you need a big lion in here.
I know. No, I was thinking about that. Maybe honor it that way.
Yeah.
Not just for my son, but for my name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that'd
for
be cool.
God, obviously.
Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
The Lion of Judah.
Lion of Judah.
Exactly.
Okay, so Ariel, I have written down you're a Golden Gloves champion,
I am.
boxing coach,
Mm-hmm.
owner of Lace Up Boxing Club, mom of 2,
Mm-hmm.
and daughter of Christ.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you want to tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah. I mean, how far back do you want
go
me to
for it.
start?
Sure.
I mean, I guess what brought me to boxing was initially in middle school. So I was grew up in a tennis family. So we started out with tennis, and so just very athletic family. And then in middle school, I developed something that even tennis couldn't really fix. Is how athletics can help you with anxiety, which is fantastic, but tennis wouldn't fix it for me. So I developed almost Tourette's. I don't want to say it's Tourette's, but very Tourette's style. The fancy name is blepharospasms. I can't even say it.
Yeah.
Blepharospasms.
Okay.
So it's something where your eyes just blink all the time and you can't control it. Okay. So then that started to create bullying at school at that age. So then people would go up in my face and start blinking in my face and make fun of me for it. So I would come home with a lot of rage, and I would come home, slam my door, and say, I hate everybody. And yeah, exactly. 12-year-old, 13-year-old thing.
That's what too.
Exactly. So you're fresh in it. So my grandfather was actually a Golden Gloves boxer and fought in the Navy. And so this was my dad's dad, but it was my mom. She loves to take the credit. She was like, I'm the one that put you into boxing. And so she knew I needed an outlet, but I also was rebelling. I was like, you guys just want me to play tennis because you play tennis. That's not my thing. That's your thing. So then she was like, okay, we got to send her somewhere. She's got too much that she's bringing home and she needs some help that we can't give her. And that's a parent's role. You can't do everything,
Right.
And you got to find that out sometimes the hard way. And yeah, so I got into boxing then, did it for 2 years, gave me a very competitive edge. So I decided to try out for varsity tennis in high school. Started playing tennis, got back into that. But then in college, I decided to continue playing some tennis here and there, but then unfortunately got into an abusive relationship that sent me to the hospital, and took me about 2 years to just mentally recover from it. And that's when I took just a fitness boxing class just for the fun of it. And I was like, wow, why did I ever give this up? And I was like, geez, this is like this just runs through my veins. Like, obviously it's in the blood, but it was almost like we speak the same language, you know,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
you had taken up maybe Spanish at like 12, you know, and then you did it for 2 years and then you stopped. And then even though 10 years later you hadn't spoken a word of it, all of a sudden it's like someone came up to you and started speaking it and you could just do it fluently. That's how I felt, you
Like
know?
home.
That's really
Feel
cool.
like
Yeah,
home.
exactly. It felt like home. Yeah. I don't speak Spanish, but basically all of my other coaches do. So
Yeah.
I got to learn someday. But anyways, yeah, so then that's when I got back into it. And then I decided, okay, this is going to be my way of healing. Then I moved out here and became a school teacher, part-time school teacher, and absolutely loved it. Knew that I wanted to teach and lead and coach. And then that's when I met someone who was a personal trainer and helped me, guide me along. Unfortunately, he was grooming me and turned out for the worse. But that's behind me now. And you know what? Even though that was a dark place in my life, I'm so grateful that it brought me to physical fitness
Yeah.
and continued my boxing journey. And I just kept searching, you know, I wanted more and more boxing, even though that happened to me. And then that's when I met my coach that recently passed away. And he changed my life forever. I met with him in his garage for my first session, and I was so intimidated. I told him I want to compete. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
done just training. I'm done just sparring. I wanted to compete because I wanted to be a good coach. That's what I wanted
Okay.
to
Interesting.
compete for. I was like, you know what? I want to try this out. I think I got some good skills, but I want to do it because I want to lead. So then
Okay.
I became a personal trainer on the side and then decided to swap it with my school teaching. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in, take the risk and start training. And so then I thought that personal training was going to be on the side and boxing, or sorry, that was going to be my main role, and
Yeah.
boxing was going to be just like, oh, I'll hold some mitts for you here and there. But then it turned out to swap and just, you know, God was calling me to boxing and then obviously to Bobby, my coach. And so then my first session with him, I told him I want to compete. And he was like, okay, by the end of this session, I'll know if you have it or not. And I was
Wow.
like, oh,
No pressure.
sweating bullets already. And I haven't even started doing push-ups. And so then, at the end of the session, he said, okay, do you want the bad news or the worst news? And
Oh
he
my
goes,
gosh.
Good.
so you're 26, which means that you will most likely be competing against people that have been in the sport for a long time already. So they could have up to 19 fights. I thought he said 90. I didn't care.
Mm.
I was like,
Either way,
sure. I was
Didn't
like,
matter.
sure, 90 fights, whatever. I'm going to get in that ring and go 3 rounds. And then he goes, but the worst news is you have no power. He said, you couldn't break an egg in a food fight. You couldn't beat your way out of wet Kleenex. I was like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, but I do feel like you're dissing me right now. But that was his way, was, you know, he would compliment you, but then also bring you down and humble you at the same time with a good sense of humor. And so then that's what created that bond. I don't think I would have gone where I did in my boxing if I hadn't found him.
Mhm.
And that's also who led me to Jesus. So he was my
Wow.
guide.
Yeah.
So I did go to Catholic school, funny enough. I did go to Catholic school for high school, but it was more just because I liked the school. I
Okay.
chose it because I liked the values and I liked the way that it was run.
Mhm.
But it almost, you know, kind of steered me away from faith.
Interesting.
It was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is just for a test for finals, you know,
Yeah.
just to get by. But then it was Bobby that really, through his own testimony, as Daniel says at the Orchard, it's the testimonies that
Yeah.
get you there.
The power of testimony.
Yeah, the power testimony. And it was Bobby's testimony that really, really started to plant that seed.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so then we went through many wins, many losses. It was, you know, I cried in his arms after my losses. And it was at my second fight that I lost. I won my first fight. I could go into detail with that. Bobby used to love to do that.
Yeah.
About my first fight. But I'll just talk about the second, because even though my first fight was a win and it was a bloody battle and I did come out strong, I actually took in that lioness.
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being the prey. I'm going to be the predator. So Ariel, Lion of God. I brought that in and I won, but I want to talk more about my devastating loss because that's what really transformed me. So it was the 2017 Golden Gloves,
Okay.
and I got in all fired up, but also a little afraid of the pain that I went through because that girl beat up my nose.
Yeah, that's her.
It was she literally snarled at me right when the bell
Oh my
rang,
gosh.
and I was like, "Oh no, I was like, this girl wants to kill me."
Yeah.
So I froze, and then second fight I froze again, but I couldn't snap out of it. I did get some. Finally, I started to wake up, and I did land one really nice shot that stunned the girl, but I couldn't get out of that freeze. But God had that plan. He's like, I need to humble you just a little bit, and I know you want it, but I got to make you work for it. And so the fight was stopped. It was stopped in the third round.
Like
the ref.
the ref.
That was
So
from too much blood, right?
Yeah, too much blood. I had been hit too many times. It's for safety.
Yeah.
And it was on championship night of the Golden Gloves. So there were probably 1,000 people there.
Yeah,
Oh
it's a big
And
crowd.
I was bawling in the ring. I tried to leave the ring actually before they even raised her hand. I was just so like tunnel vision. I got to get out of here. But then, paid the respects to her in the ring. They raised her hand. I handed her the championship jacket. Then I left and I literally cried in my coach's arms for like 15 minutes. And I said, I was in tears. I was like, I promise you, I'm going to come back. I'm going to win the next year.
Wow.
Yeah. So the next year they planned it on another day. So we were on our honeymoon.
Oh,
But that's okay. That's okay. He was like, you know what? You earned this. But 2019, I came back and I won.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
it was that loss that really, really brought me to that win.
Yeah, like lit the fire.
Yes, it did.
I want to go back to you said that your coach's message on the first day was essentially that you lack the power to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And you're starting at such a late age.
No, he was like, you're not gonna earn respect. People are just gonna walk through your punches.
And I just think there's something to the strength of being so direct in messaging. We just spoke about this morning at the church where I have an attraction to things where people tell me to be the hardest thing you ever do because then I actually want to do it. And I think too much of what we see now in like the everybody gets a trophy culture, we see kids that are raised to believe that what they're going to do is going to be easy. And it's just not the case, especially if you're chasing professional sport of any description, let alone one where you're physically fighting.
Yeah.
And I just think what he did by leveling you with how hard it was going to be and being honest instead of being like, no, you've got this as long as we work hard.
No, you can't. That's doing a disservice to fighters saying, you've got this, let's just go see what you got.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to find out in here, there are certain tests, certain things that I examine to make sure that you're really ready.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So I'm curious in hearing that story.
Yeah.
And knowing what had happened with a previous trainer.
Yeah.
How was it walking into Bobby's garage? Like,
That's a
were
great
you,
question.
because in my mind that had to have been hard to then put yourself out there to trust this other person.
Yeah. Well,
how was
it was actually his honesty of how he initially viewed women to how he ended up viewing them later on. So he grew up in Denver and he fought out there. And when he started coaching in the 90s, he was actually put in charge of the women's team. And so he had about 45 women in there. This was when women were actually introduced to the sport. I mean, I don't know how many people listening know that the first time women were in the Olympics wasn't until 2012. So it's actually it's very new for women to be in the sport. So anyways, in the 90s, he was so upset. He was like, first of all, why do I have to train these broads? That's what he called women, just very casually and jokingly. Like, we knew that he didn't mean anything by it, but then he did. He absolutely did. So he walked into that room of about 40 women and goes, I don't believe you belong here. The only two places you belong are in the kitchen and the bedroom.
Dang.
Yeah, no, exactly. Dang. And so then, of course, like when he said that, women walked out. By the
Right.
end of that day, there were about, I'd say half, like 20 left. But then by the end of the series, like the season, there were 5.
Okay.
And he then created the first female Golden Gloves champion in Colorado.
That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, Michelle Mays. So I've never met her. I don't know where she is. He dreamed of having me, Michelle, Teresa, his other female champion, all together.
That'd be cool.
And I'd love for this to, if anybody listening here knows Michelle
Yeah.
Mays, 156-pound Golden Gloves champion in Colorado in the 90s, bring
Reach
her
out.
here. Bring her to me. Do some research. So anyways, yeah, then that's what changed. He was like, wow, women have no ego that they bring in.
Mm.
They listen. They actually listen. Not only do they listen to what he's saying about the sport, but, they're good ears for his humor too.
They'll put up with a lot.
Yeah, exactly. They'll put up with a lot. But man, yeah, he was like, you guys just work.
Mhm.
You just get right after it and you want to learn. You're not afraid to make mistakes. And yeah, so then when he was telling me about all of that, and he's like, you were my daughters, I could just feel it.
Yeah.
But then when he did start talking about God and Jesus, at first, funny enough, the guy that I was telling you about, he brought me to church a couple times.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he used it almost as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so,
cool,
exactly. So I think it's important to mention that. And so at first I was like, okay, but there was something about his heart. There was just a pureness
Mm-hmm.
to it, even though he had told all these astonishing stories about his street life. There was just such an innocence to him. And it just helped me trust him.
Interesting. Yeah, because I'm imagining that would have been hard.
Yeah.
But maybe for him, maybe you just kind of knew.
And I told him all about it. And he was like, I know there are other women that have to do the same person. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that, to me, something that you said about you were ready to be the predator, not the prey.
Yeah.
There's something really powerful there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. So if you want to hear it, it is actually
Absolutely.
in my first fight, I was like, okay, I'm ready to dance. I'm ready to do, all this. I'd actually just been in the, before getting into a fight camp, I had just been in the Aspen fashion show. So I was like, okay, let's see. I've been on stage. I know what to do. But then it was when she snarled at me.
Oh, yeah.
that I just froze. And so she was just literally, her friends were yelling. I didn't hear it because it was tunnel vision,
Right.
but I didn't hear it at the time. But in the video, you hear her friends yelling, beat her face in.
Oh, my.
And yeah, so then literally a puddle.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I was that bad of a bleeder. And so then in the second round, I got an 8 count. So for those of you who don't know what an 8 count is, it is when it's in the amateurs only. It's when you've taken too many blows at once or one very strong blow. Okay, maybe you've lost your feet, or you can just tell that you've been dazed by it, or the ref can tell that you've been dazed by it. So it's the ref's choice. It's very subjective. And so then the ref pulls you aside to a neutral corner. Your opponent goes to a neutral corner, and he starts counting. So he started counting 1, 2, 3. At 3, I was like, "What am I doing?" I was like,
Interesting.
"Get me out of here! I don't want to embarrass my coach. I don't want to embarrass my family." I was more scared for how they thought about everything about my own health than I was for my own health. And then he started counting at 4, 5. And I was like, this is my dream. It was slow motion. It
Yeah.
was like an entire essay, like an entire novel was going through my head at that moment. And little did I know that during that time, my coach was looking to the coach that was cornering me at the time. So Bobby couldn't corner me then. It was another coach. And so he looked to Robert. So Bobby looked to Robert. Or sorry, no, Robert looked at Bobby and he goes, should I throw it in? Like dangling the towel.
down. Yeah.
And then at that time, that's when my eyes started to change. And I started to be like, worse has happened. Let's go all in. And that's when it was
Okay.
like, let's go on the hunt. I can't be hurt anymore. And so then Bobby saw that switch in my eyes, because that's fighters and coaches, they have that connection. He saw that switch in my eyes, and he goes, no, tell her to throw straight down the pipe. She's throwing wide. And then someone next to him goes, good one, coach. Yeah.
Wow.
And then 7, 8, I was like, okay, it's on. And then so I went in. Initially, I didn't just go, bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I was smart. I was like, I'm just going to make her miss a few times. I was like, I got nice feet from tennis. Why am I not using them? I'm just standing there.
Yeah.
Getting pummeled.
Literally, someone in the audience, I kid you not, goes, might as well hit back. You're getting hit anyway. Literally, not even kidding.
You're just kind of
Yeah, exactly. So I made her miss, and I started to gain some confidence. I was like, okay, I'm going to time her a little bit. And then that's when I shot just a 2. I shot a 2, so a cross. I was like, I'm just going to go aggressive on this one. Like I said, time stands still. And I saw her head go back, and I saw it come back with a look of fear. And I was like,
Because she knew she was in a fight for the first time.
I kid you not, that's like, I'm getting the chills right now because it was literally like somebody slowed down time. And I saw that look of fear. I was like, okay, so she was right by her corner, the blue corner. She was in the blue corner. And so this one combo that Bobby showed me once, but I practiced it 1,000 times on my own because I was like, ooh, that's mine.
Okay.
That's my new toy to play with. I did it. So it was a throwaway body with my left hook to the body, then a right hook up top. So it's deception, so you tap down here to make her think, oh, she's going down low.
Yeah.
And then I came up top, and it's center flying into the corner. And then I think it was the same guy that was like, good one, coach. He goes, that's a well-schooled white girl right there.
That's fun.
It is a blast.
Yeah.
It is a family. It really is a family. It is definitely the most, like there are definitely the macho types in there, but the ones that have truly been humbled and been through the fire, they're so excited to welcome you there.
That's
It is
nice.
such a family.
That's similar in CrossFit. Like, very family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there's something about that battling one-on-one that, it's just so honest.
Yeah.
You can't hide anything.
Yeah.
There's no hiding whatsoever. Everything is exposed.
Kind of relates to what Daniel spoke about when we talked with him a couple of weeks ago. Like, any area that you've been cutting corners in your training is going to be so exposed out there under that spotlight. Like, any cardio or any area that you've just taken a few shortcuts is so exposed. And going in, you're like, oh, I didn't work hard enough on that right hook.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's because in boxing, you're an athlete, you're a fighter, but then you're also an actor too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So you gotta sell things as well.
Yeah.
So if you're not fully prepared, there's no way you can sell it. Like, it just shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
that's really cool.
One of my questions was there a moment when your perspective on boxing went from theoretical to I can actually fight and do this? And it sounds like
Yeah.
that was probably one of your moments.
Yeah, that
Do you-
definitely was one of my moments. I still remember, I actually wrote it. So I'm so grateful that I wrote down boxing, or I have 2 full boxing journals from the first 2,
Wow.
almost 3 years of my training. And it actually wasn't during the fight. It was in training. And I wrote it down, and I think it was October, maybe November, something like that. But end of October, beginning of November 2016, I am no longer just someone who boxes. I am a boxer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
That
is no
identity
longer
shift.
something I do. It is who I am. And that speaks so much to faith too. It really does.
Right.
It's no longer just something I do, just trying to find out more and more info about it, which is important. You have to do that. You have to go through that first. But then it's like, wow, that's who I am.
And what does
This is who
what does
I
that look like now with a deeper dive into faith? Because we've spoken about this at our men's group, that for instance, I'm not a CrossFitter who follows Christ.
Yeah.
I'm I'm a Christian who CrossFits. Has that changed for you now?
Oh, I love that. What was the question?
Has that changed for you? Like now you had that switch in identity. So I'm a boxer, and I wonder if now
Even more so as a coach.
Yeah.
I'm no longer a boxing coach. This is my ministry.
Right.
I am a coach that first speaks faith, then speaks boxing,
That's
so
really
I'm
cool.
making those ties every single session. I don't care who you are. I'd rather offend you with the word Jesus,
Yeah.
especially in my music, by the way. That's all I can play now. I mean, there's every genre now, so people don't even really realize it.
Right.
I used to play all the good old school rap and hip hop, but there's all the F's and the P's and 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 D's and all that. I was like, you know what? I'd so much rather offend people with the word Jesus in my music than all that other.
Right.
I like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's an offensive book. Like it's not a soft message. It's
It's not.
hard to hear.
Even there's stuff that like, oh man, that hits me in the gut, like reading that. But that's good. You even in here to be able to take body shots, I slam balls on people's guts physically,
Oh my gosh.
to be able to take that. So you got to be able to, in the Bible, read through that, get those gut punches to be able to then take the gut punches in life,
Absolutely. It's interesting too that the word Jesus could be more offensive to people than like all those things.
Than all those curse words.
Are saying.
Yeah, exactly. They're very offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you had any pushback from anyone?
Mm-mm. No, I haven't. I've had some, like when I do share my testimony, there are others that they're like, wow, you're going through that. I've kind of gone through something similar, or they're like, they've reached a different level, and it just like, we kind of connect more. And even people that are questioning everything still, once again, it's the testimony. I don't try and shove scripture down people's throats. I share my testimony, and then I'm like, by the way, here's the scripture that talks about exactly what I went through.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case you want to know.
I love it.
Yeah. So for example, I've been sharing it literally with anybody. So I don't have it up there right now, but it was last week. And this was in my own testimony, and I shared it in my when I spoke at my coach's memorial yesterday. And in
so it's that recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he passed on the 9th of February. Yeah.
Wow.
So his memorial service was yesterday, and my baptism was last week. And so both really tied into something that I learned in my very first Bible study that I ever attended. I'm so grateful. So we were talking about Genesis and Jacob. And first of all, Jacob being mischievous and kind of not being a good person,
Wrestling
but
with God.
God's chosen.
Yeah.
And first of all, that just fits into my coach already. He was like, man, I've been through all this stuff, and God did this to me. I must be his favorite child. Yeah. And so in Genesis, when Jacob is wrestling with God, wrestling with the angel, the Hebrew word for wrestle means to get dusty. And so Bobby would always say, dust them up and dig deep. And so that's just, I like in Bible study, when someone said that, I was like, whoa. I was like, Bobby, are you hearing it?
Did you attend your first Bible study after you'd already passed? So
recently. Yeah, I joined the mom's Bible study at the Orchard.
Wow.
That's cool.
So I was like, no, I was literally like, I'm going all in. Because he was the one that I would turn to in times of hardship and prayer. Like anytime anyone was going through anything, I didn't care if they knew Bobby or they didn't. I'd be like, Bobby, can you pray for this person?
Yeah, wow.
And so that's why I dove into my faith. But anyway, so so finding that connection out, I was like, wow, I gotta just share that with people, and it was the ability to share something like that with believers and non-believers. And so I was telling them, I was like, so Jacob was wrestling with God, and God wants you to wrestle. He wants you to find out more. And guess what? That builds your relationship. So I was like, you know what? Those women that I fought in that ring, I know them at a deeper level than I know my own husband, that I know my own children, because we have been so vulnerable in a spotlight together. Like we know each other at that deep, deep, deep level. So it's like, wrestle with God, find out who he really is by, lacing up,
Yeah.
lacing up and, getting dusty.
Biting some rounds.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of one of our little taglines is the
Yeah.
hard way is the way, right?
Uh-huh.
God doesn't call us
Yeah.
to comfort. He calls us to
Exactly.
get out there and get messy.
Yeah. And that's what's the beauty of boxing is that you have a place to get messy. People will come in and be like, I'm so sorry today. And I'm like, do you know where you are?
That's funny.
This is a boxing gym. That doesn't matter here.
Yeah.
This is a place to be okay with shedding all those masks and weights that you've been holding on to. And you can just be yourself here because you have to. If you're not willing to shed all that and walk in here, then that's going to once again be exposed in there. And you won't be able to fully break through to find out who you really are.
Yeah. Love it.
That's really beautiful.
How do you toggle that warrior switch like when you go home and become caretaker / nurturer?
Great question. Because sometimes my husband will be like, you're talking to me like a coach right now. I'm like, oh, shoot, you're right. I'm so sorry. Because my adrenaline gets high after coaching too. I'm just in the zone. I love it. I'm like, you're doing this, you're doing that. Let's go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Let's push. And then when I get home, it's because it's very masculine and feminine too,
Right.
like being a female in such a masculine sport, you do have to bring out that masculine side of yourself and feminine, because funny enough, when I spar guys, I'm not as scared. There's not as much anxiety.
Oh, interesting.
Women are mischievous. And they will want to hurt you.
So that's one of my questions. That right?
Yeah.
Are you ever in here and you're like, I want to hurt you?
Yeah.
Is that like you?
Yeah.
'Cause that's,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not, they are.
Right.
So you got to be prepared for that, but even like with your, the other day I was working with someone, he was sparring with one of my coaches here, and he was just not willing to hit him. And I was like, you gotta hit him. You gotta hit him. And he was just so worried about hurting someone. I was like, this is a hurt sport,
That's the whole kind of the whole point.
That's the whole point. In the first fight, no matter boxing or self-defense even, is are you willing to throw that punch? Are you willing to fight and fight back? I just lost the train of thought. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I was just really curious about that because I've never punched anyone.
Oh, yeah. So, yes. Okay. So then what I said to him is, this is who we are. We're friends that hit each other. That's literally what we are. We're friends that hit each other. In the Bible, it says iron sharpens iron. If you're not going to hit me, I'm not learning.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn to move my head if you're not trying to hit me. So it's value for both sides. So when we're in here sparring each other, we're like, if we get hit with a good shot that rattles us just a little bit, or if we bloody our nose, we're like, good one. That's what I'm talking about, teammate. I am willing to take that pain and punishment so that way you can learn. That's what we are.
Right. And then what I hear you saying too is you're not going to learn if someone's not doing that to you.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like actually then doing someone a disservice.
Yes, you are. You are.
By
So
not-
you have to be willing. But there is the other side too. I do get people that come in here that only want to hit people. I'm like, no, you have to be willing to get hit to be able to hit other people.
Testing out my verse recall. Pretty sure that's Proverbs 27:20. Iron sharpens iron. But something that's often missed there is I mean, it's in the statement, but we don't think about it too often, that it is iron that sharpens iron, meaning it's not anything less. You can't come in and sharpen a sword with anything less than a sword. You don't come in with leather to sharpen iron. So if somebody's holding back, they're not sharpening you. And that's kind of what I hear you saying.
I love that. That is, I'm gonna let that sink in this whole week.
Yeah.
Oh, I really, really like that. That's so true. That's the best way to put it. It's, with that, you can't, same thing, like you can't throw leather or exchange leather without it both being leather. Like you gotta taste the leather and feed it at the same time,
Is that something when someone comes in, do you have them focus on kind of taking those hits too? It's
Well,
not
you
just
don't have to
yeah.
if you don't want to.
Okay.
But if you want to learn to spar, you've got to be able to first be willing to be hit
Mhm.
before you're actually allowed to hit somebody else.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean that I just throw you in.
Yeah.
Okay, you actually do get to spar with a coach or with a more experienced person, so that way you don't get hit by real blows, because we call them revenge punches. We don't want new
Yeah.
cherries going at it. That's what my coach called it.
Yeah.
New people, cherries going at it, and just revenge punch after revenge punch. You're not learning anything. You're just
Right.
brawling. It's an alleyway brawl. So then you spar with a coach first, that that you can hit him, but at any time he can hit you.
Yeah.
And it's once again just like Jacob wrestling with the angel. They wrestled all night, but all it took was that one little touch to the hip and it broke the hip. And so it's the same kind of idea when you first start in here. You're sparring with someone that really knows what they're doing, so that way they can keep it safe, they can maintain a good pace
Yeah.
and teach you. But you're also humbled, like knowing that all it takes is one precise shot, and they don't even have to hit it hard.
No.
Yeah.
It's about precision over power.
Yeah, I remember doing boxing growing up, and that was always, they put you in the ring with the experienced coach, and as soon as he sees you losing that humility, they would just like, hand up, hand up, hand up, hand up, and they see it drop, and they're like, he ain't listening.
Yeah, no, that's what I have to do, and most people do appreciate it, but like they do look at me astonished at first, like, what?
You weren't listening.
I'll like holding mitts for people. I'll say hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up by that like 6 or 7 time. I'm like, boop. And like, which is like, it's so fast that before you can realize what just happened. But like, okay, I'm not dropping that hand again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Most people take a lot of convincing before they start to believe.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Sometimes, I mean, it took me, see, 1, 2, 3, 4 hardships to like traumas to finally give in. I was hit like smacked so many times, and then finally I'm like, okay, I learned. Yeah.
It feels like a religious, well, not a religious, but a faith-driven story. You just keep getting smacked, and then you're like, I see it now.
Yeah, but then you realize if you just keep getting knocked down and get, like there's, when you get knocked down, you get back up. But if you're the one that keeps picking yourself up,
Mhm.
you're always going to get knocked back down. But if it's God, you're like, okay, can you pick me up? Like, I can't get up on my own anymore. Can you pick me up and keep going so that way I can keep fighting? Then it's amazing. You won't be stopped. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it's
had
powerful.
that different circumstances, but similar experience over the past year. Finally getting to that point of like, yeah, I can't do this.
No, exactly.
So here you go.
Yeah. No,
I'll
seriously.
take help now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to let go of that control. I think it's really hard. Well, it's really hard to let go for someone who has experienced abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Because control equals
yeah.
safety.
Exactly. It does. 100%.
Yeah.
So I wanted to control everything. And with the way that the world is now, just all the violence in the world, I used to even just walk into public places recently. And yes, I know my self-defense, I know I can take somebody hand on hand, but with what's been happening in the world, I mean, could I survive like a random situation, that's been happening? And so I used to just go into I still do, but just not with fear anymore, with faith. So I just public places, I'll go in, with my self-defense training, I track everything. I'm like, there's the exit, there's hardcover, there's, like this is, I do track it out. I'm very aware. But I used to do it out of so much fear. And I'd have to just breathe and be like, okay, calm down. And my son going to kindergarten next year, I'm like, whoa, like I'm freaking out right now. Like every night I would be like, okay, I'm ready for bed. And then my son's going to kindergarten. What if the worst happens? And now I go to bed just with peace. I used to have to listen to something, like put my AirPod in, listen to something like an audiobook or even a TV show. But every night now, God's been literally like, now I understand it when people say God talks to me. I'm like, I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
I hear him. It's so clear. And he's like, don't turn it on. Put it away. Trust me. And I'm like, the first time I was like, no,
That doesn't sound like the right
that's
way.
not, I don't know. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you. I fell asleep in like 10 minutes. Normally it takes like 30 minutes to an hour. And then every night I'm like reaching, it's like an addiction. I'm like reaching for it and like it's my comfort. So that way my mind doesn't just wander. It's like, no, trust me, and it's incredible. I don't need that noise anymore to go to sleep because God has silenced my mind. And anytime something does get like start spiraling, I just go straight to scripture. It's like rehearsal, reciting. Like go to what you know. Same in self-defense, same in boxing. That's why when people train with me, I ask them, what's your sport? What do you like to do?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're for me, like you're a tennis player, you understand rotation, or you're dancing, you understand fluidity and transitions from one movement to the next, so then I teach based on those techniques for the maneuvers and all that. I'm like, okay, this is exactly like even in boxing, I'm like, okay, this is a step ball change,
Oh, that's you sound like a coach. Yeah. Got all of that. Because what I'm hearing you say is you're taking your perspective out of it and looking at it from the
And speaking their
athlete's
language.
perspective.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. What they know, what they're comfortable with. So that way I'm speaking their language already.
That's cool.
And I'm not just trying to force a language to
Mhm.
them. So then that's like when you're memorizing things over and over and over again, then that becomes what you know. So then that can become your comfort. And if the comfort is the word of God, you're good.
Yeah, right. One thing that can't
Exactly.
no.
It'll never fail. So I'm so grateful that I found that, all the things that I used to go to, that I used to rehearse all over and over again, they never gave me the true comfort. Now it's the comfort of the word of God.
Faith over fear.
Faith over fear.
Do you have a moment? So you got baptized
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago?
Last week.
Yeah.
Cool.
Was there a moment that you felt now is the time? Like we're
Oh yeah. No, 2 weeks ago, I went up to Pastor Daniel when he like offered up. He's like, if anybody wants to talk to me, come talk to me. And I went up to him and I just started bawling. And I was like, I just want to get baptized more than anything. My entire life, I know I've only been here for a month and a half in this community, but I was like, this is the place. This is the time. It's got to be now. And he was literally like, do you want to do it now? I was like, I'm not like that prepared to go into time.
Give me a week. When I say now, I mean in my time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not. And then he, was saying it jokingly, but also there was some seriousness there. And so then I was like, I want to do it next week. And my parents were there for not the baptism, but for that day. And they said, well, can't you just wait until we're back in April? I was like, no, I can't. And then some good friends of ours that go to that church as well, they found out that they actually booked something out of town and they totally forgot, that their whole family was booked to go and for this vacation. And they're like, can you please hold off? Can you wait? I was like, nope. I can't. I was like, you know what? You guys know my testimony.
Yeah.
I know there's people in that church that day that need to hear it.
Yeah.
And I need to share it that day. And yeah, afterwards of that day, funny enough, I felt really heavy. I was like, aren't I supposed to feel light?
Interesting.
I felt really, really heavy. And I'm wondering, like, is it something like doubt that it did anything? Or is it the heaviness of like, yes, I let go of my sins and my shame and my guilt and my anger. But maybe this is like the heaviness of what I'm about to carry for good.
Yeah, the weight of responsibility.
Yes, the weight of responsibility. Yeah. So then I started to ponder on that. And I started to just I love just going for a drive, especially just to get my kids down for a nap,
Absolutely.
So I was just listening to some really powerful worship music and then that's what started to click, like, okay, I'm going to war right now. Like this is maybe the weight of God's armor on me too.
That's cool.
I was like, I'm good. I'm ready. And then all of a sudden, like you guys reached out. And I was amazed. And then I was on the radio and then I got to the honor of speaking at my coach's memorial service. And I was like, whoa, okay, funny enough, I'm feeling lighter and lighter the more I talk, the more
Yeah.
I share my
I
testimony.
got goosebumps.
Oh,
That's cool.
Wow.
yeah.
Because too, I think like the devil will try to get you.
Yeah.
Right? And
Mhm.
so you having a public declaration
Yeah.
of becoming a child of God,
Yeah.
he's gonna try and get you.
Oh, yeah. When I was going
And
backwards, when Daniel started to lower me down, I heard this isn't going to do anything.
yeah, that's
And
him, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
But then when I came up, I heard my daughter. So
Start that.
um yeah, so then it could have been the heaviness of both,
Yeah,
but I
it
had to
is it.
discern,
And you
when
said, no, I the armor of God.
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think that's the
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
way to think about it. The armor is protective, but it's not light.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Mhm.
It's your cross that you're carrying too,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's no matter whether you've been the baptism doesn't take the cross away. I mean, Jesus wasn't
Right.
baptized after he was crucified.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
before, and then you understand how to carry that cross. You really do, and you start to not look at it as a burden anymore.
Well, and I think what just is coming to me now is that
Mhm.
you being public and open about
Yeah.
it too. Like there's a real beauty in that where like the devil can't touch that.
And now I know the enemy was trying to get me with that. I've been so scared. Like I've always had imposter syndrome. Like, oh, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough to share that yet. I'm not
Yeah.
good at like when my
Same.
coach would talk when my coach would talk about me and share my story, and talk about my fights and the bloody battles I went through, and just the adorableness of it all too, uh I would be like, okay, I'm glad that I have him to tell it because I can't tell it.
Right.
Like I'm so glad that someone like him, because also he had that repetition or sorry, reputation, that reputation and repetition. He would
Yeah.
repeat and repeat and repeat. But then I was like, man, if I tell my own story, I feel like I'm just bragging, and there's, I I'm just this little girl, just with this little bunny looking face. I mean, so my nickname for fighting, by the way, my coach gave me, it's Whoville. Because he thinks I look like Cindy Lou Who, but he's like,
Yeah.
no, but you're in charge of Whoville.
Yeah.
So, he's like, you have that sweetness, but then you have that fighter inside you. I was like, you know what? Nobody really saw that true fighter in me until him. Like that. I mean, my husband definitely did. I have to give him that credit because he
Yeah.
really saw it. But man, with someone like him that's been through what he's been through and seen all the glorious champions that he's created and other people have created, and he puts me up there with them, I was like, wow, I must actually be somebody, you know.
I mean, it's
And
yeah.
yeah,
Having someone after experiencing people see you as prey versus
yeah,
predator, having him see that in you had to have been really amazing.
yeah.
Because I'm sure it helped you see that in yourself.
The last time I saw him in person was at a fight night that was at the gym, and um where he was coaching at the rec center in Parachute. There was a fight night, and he was like, my dream is to have you and Teresa up there and me announce your stories. And then he got to do that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that like put him at peace that he was able to like accomplish that dream, to be like, these are my girls. Yeah.
That's really cool. Proud moment.
Yeah. I still felt like even at that moment, I'm like, okay, but like kind of hide in my face, like, thank you,
Yeah.
everybody, but now I'm ready. Like that song, because they sing the same songs, right? It's for the 8:30 and the
Oh,
10,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
11:30. Yeah. So that one, about gratitude and like, you have a voice of a lion.
Don't get
I'm
shy
like,
on me.
yes, exactly. And I was like, I was shy, but now I'm going to embody that voice of the lion. I'm ready to tell my story.
Thank
That's
you for
cool.
sharing your story with that.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Is there any of the testimony that you haven't shared or that you would like to?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, there really is so much. When I was preparing for this, I mean, there's not. I was, or when I was talking about going on here, I was like, man, there's just. It's not that I don't know what to talk about. It's just that I have too much to talk
There's
about.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I feel like I have said everything. And I think I just want to let it soak in.
Mm,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
Thank you. And I want to I told Susie, Bobby's wife, I told her that I was going to be on this. And I told her that it's that testimony that's going to keep his legacy alive and
Yeah.
the legacy of Christ. And
It sounds like she
And-
was pivotal in your relationship with Christ.
like I said, I wouldn't be the fighter I was, and I wouldn't be the child of God that I am now. So I know wherever I go in life, whether I do compete again or not, I'm going to be taken care of. And I honestly want to fight again now, knowing what I was missing and really bring him into that ring with me. Cause that was what I did love about boxing. Actually, you know what? This is something that I want to add. That is something about boxing that I realized. I was like, whoa, I'm in front of so many people right now. I'm fighting someone that I don't know. My coach is only outside of the ring. He can't come in there and help me. It's just me. The ref can only do so much. Once again, it's totally subjective. And so that's when I really did start to be like, okay, I can't fight alone. So I started to pray. I more out of fear.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
just more out of fear. And
That's the saying, there's no atheist in a foxhole.
no,
Everyone's like,
exactly.
okay, God.
No, exactly. So then I did really enjoy fighting because it did bring me closer to him. And I'm going to tell you this, like, if you do want to start fighting, like anybody that's listening to, and you're nervous about it, you are weird if you're not nervous. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah. You might be
Okay? You're not
sociopath at that
weird.
point.
Like you're just not, there's just something wrong with you if you're not nervous. And so Bobby would be like, okay, you're fighting next week. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I'm scared. And he's like, no, you're doing it. And I was like, okay. And then other times I would be terrified inside and I'd be like, okay, coach. But inside I'm like, ooh, I really don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing this. But then every time I was so grateful. So grateful because not only did I learn more about myself, but I did become closer to God.
Did you recognize that in the moment at any point when you were fighting, that you were coming closer to God?
Yes, it was actually, it was so cool. So my fight that really proved to everybody who I really was, because I won my first one, then I actually lost 3 in a row right after that. So, no, 4 in a row right after that. It was my 6th fight that I proved to everybody who I really was inside. Everybody had kind of seen that shameful kind of person, like making mistakes. Does she really belong here? I even had people tell me, like, maybe this sport isn't for you.
Did you start to think that?
Funny enough, no, I never did.
Interesting.
It was after that second or that first loss for like 2 minutes. I thought, no, I'm not doing this anymore. No, but I was like, So actually for my 4th fight, I was like, Bobby, I'm going to fight someone that is completely out of my weight class, that has more fights than me. She's southpaw, and I'm going to fight her at her own gym. Do you know why? And he was like, why? Because I need to beat my fear. Because I was like, I don't want to beat someone in front of me. I want to beat my fear. So he was like, okay, I got you. Let's do this. So then that's what gave me confidence. And then my next fight, he was like, that was a robbery. My 5th fight, he was like, that was a robbery. You won that. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. It could have gone both ways. But it was my 6th fight. And it was the same exact weekend that I got baptized. So weekend of St. Patty's Day. And I started so it was March 15th, and I think it was March 16th, that my fight where I showed everybody who I was. I just dominated. I did not stop. I did not quit. I showed everything I had. And so I just thought it was so perfect that I got baptized on that day, that I showed everybody in the boxing world who I truly was. And
like on the anniversary of the fight.
In the world who I truly am, which is the child of God. And so, so it was that switch there too. But I had already known who I was. And it's like that, the baptism, you're publicly declaring it now too. So finally, I got to publicly declare to everybody, I am a killer. I belong here. Because so many people doubted me. And then a lot of people after that fight, those doubters, they came up to me and they were like, wow, you changed. And then ever since then,
and that was the same,
big fans.
That was the same fight where you felt a connection to God?
Yes, thank you. That was when I started to go over and over again. through Psalm 18 verse 32, and then through that, I mean, I'm not perfect with this yet, but I learned it because of Katie Taylor. So if you guys look up Katie Taylor, she really inspired my faith too, and she's all about faith. She's faith first.
She's a boxer.
But yeah,
Okay.
boxing second. And look her up. She's Irish. She's one of the greatest boxers, I would say, in in the world right now. And she's really paved the way for women's boxing. But she would she even on her trunks would put Psalm 18. And I was like, what is that? I want to find out more. So I started to, and it wasn't all Psalm 18, but it was Psalm 18 verse 32 starting there. And he trains my hands for battle, my arms can bend the bow of bronze. And I was like, wow, okay. I just kept repeating that. Once again, repetition of scripture. It doesn't need to be the entire Bible.
No.
It can literally even be one verse that gets you. So I started to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So then when I went in there, I repeated it by heart. I think it was about 7 or 8 verses. And I just repeated it or memorized it and then prayed in the corner. And then that's when I just right when that bell rang, and it was just like this jolt, like this lightning bolt of energy that just struck me when that bell rang. I couldn't wait to get in there. All my other fights, I was like, okay, when's that bell gonna ring? Oh no, okay, now I gotta go. When that bell rang, I was like, boom, and I just jolted. Yeah, and I couldn't stop. I just literally pounced on her.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that was a very pivotal moment. Because, going through so many losses, I'm like, come on, God.
I'm humble.
Wait a minute, I'm humble already.
Ready for a win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was a very pivotal moment.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That verse seems to be popping up everywhere in my life recently.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think there's something to Bible verses. It can be so small, but it carries so much weight because it's truth. And because people recognize truth, even if you can't intellectually understand, as humans, even if you're an atheist, you recognize truth. And there's something in Bible verses that pulls us in. It's like there's so much truth in that.
And you see it, that's where the testimony once again comes in, because it's the same truth in everybody's testimony. Might have gotten there a different way. Okay, this is so perfect. It's like in MMA, a submission, or jiu-jitsu, or in boxing, it's the knockout punch. Everybody has their one weapon, but they have all those different ways to get there, to land on it, for example, with Ronda Rousey. Do you guys,
I actually know who that is.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up, because I was like, I feel like people know who she is.
Yeah.
Hers was the armbar. You didn't know how she was going to get there.
But she was going
to get there. Exactly. So it's so similar with that, you don't know how anybody's going to get there, but no matter what,
the testimony is the same.
Yeah, the testimony is the same. All those testimonies go to the same place.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much truth to it.
Yeah, it's true. It's just that everybody ends up in that surrendering.
Yeah.
I can't do this on my own.
No.
I don't have this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got this though.
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly. No, I feel like I went from the surrendering to I don't got this, coach, to my baptism to be put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach.
Yes.
Bam. That's what Bobby would always say in his text messages. He'd always go, bam.
Yeah. Put me in, coach.
Yeah, put me in, coach.
So one of my questions to you is, do you think the toughness that you developed through boxing has prepared you for the battle of walking the Christian path?
Oh, wow.
Because it's not an easy path to walk in our society.
Absolutely.
Something like, put me in.
Oh yeah, put me in, coach. Put me in. I'm ready now. I don't care how many rounds I go, because I got God carrying me now. Wow, I didn't realize that part would make me cry. So I find myself bursting out in tears just randomly. Yeah. So boxing is such sport in general. And athletics is such a metaphor, but I feel like this really is, boxing really is. Because whether you're wrestling with yourself, because you're your greatest opponent, you got to wrestle with yourself first before you wrestle with God, and that's when you got to let go. But whether you're wrestling with yourself, boxing yourself, fighting your opponent, fighting God, like you are moving forwards, even though it does feel like you're moving backwards. Everybody trains at their own level, and gets, once again to the point of competition if they want to at their own pace and everything. But it's with this sport that you learn so many things from the Bible, not only from like A to B, like being from non-believer to believer, but there's so many pathways within it that bring out what's in the Bible too, because there's so much war in there too. So obviously there's war here that ties in as well.
Well, we talk a lot about that it's not, the Bible isn't sunshine and rainbows.
No, it's not.
And it's
neither is
not
this.
passive.
No, exactly. If you want the glory of boxing, you got to go through the embarrassing humility. You have to. It is the most glorifying sport known to man, but is also the most humiliating. Why can't I say the word today? Humiliating sport known to man. It really is. And so it's not just it's not just what you see in there. It's the work that you put in in the gym. So I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't say it correctly all the way through, but Muhammad Ali owed long before you dance under those lights. It's what you do in here in practice. Just like what Daniel
99.99% of it.
Exactly.
It's
and if you want that glory in there, you want to get your hand raised, you got to put in that work. And I mean, it's just like testimonies. It all leads to the same place. Same with athletics. Like this leads to the same place. If you're not doing the work where nobody sees you, then you're not going to get the glory.
Right.
Yeah. Tom Brady talks about it as well, being the champion long before you ever get to hold up the cup.
Exactly.
Because it's a mindset and it's a way you approach everything, is that champion mindset before you're ever a champion. You don't get to just get the cup and then become a champion. Like it's something that develops.
And if you want that too, you have to believe in yourself. Muhammad Ali, once again, he would say I'm the greatest and sometimes not even believe it, but he would just say it, get it out there. I'm the greatest. And until he started to believe. He also did it to rile people up. So even if he didn't believe it, that's what filled the stadium.
Yeah, it's the acting part that you spoke about.
Yeah, exactly. That's what brought people in to then be able to see that greatness. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about I love making connections. As a coach, I have to make connections with people, So now I found something that is never ending.
Yeah.
Like I'll be able to go through this, like read the Bible thousands of times and coach thousands of people, and I'll still be making more and more connections.
I love that. So kind of one of my final questions is, what do you hope to pass on to people now as a coach?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So my coach's ministry, but through my own testimony, I can share his testimony, of course, but he never really wanted to take most of the credit. He would even say, I'm no fool. You're God's champion. You're not my champion.
That's really, that's amazing for him to not have the ego in that of saying, I built this person.
And I want that too. I tell people when they come in here, I'm like, I want to make you better than me. I don't want to just keep you at this level, so I want to bring people past me too. I want their faith to just excel. And so, I mean, I'm already doing it. What you just asked, I can't, when you have that transformation that is literally, as it says in the Bible, unexplainable, you just can't shut up. You can't shut up. I mean,
clearly our podcast.
Exactly. You just can't shut up. So then now I loved it. Daniel said it a couple weeks ago at the end of the prayer. And he's like, if it's not home from the Holy Spirit, shut me up. So I've been saying that every morning.
I like it.
I like that too.
Yeah. Cause I'm like, man, I just can't shut up. So I need to make sure that everything that's coming out of my mouth is
Mhm.
from the Holy Spirit, because I can get on tangents. I can go, but a lot of times, funny enough, I feel like those tangents are from the Holy Spirit,
I do think that.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but then this is because I've been trying to go here, but the Holy Spirit is like, no, let's take them from here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got you. You feel like you're like in a riptide and you're being taken away from what we just started, but no, I actually need you out here in the deep waters,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so I feel like it's exactly what I'm doing now with you guys. And just keep making those connections. And one of my fighters, actually one morning I was praying and I was like, okay, with this girl, she's been training with me for like 5 years now, and we're tight. We're almost like, I mean, we're like best friends now. And I was like, how do I approach this morning? Because I hadn't seen her. She'd been working for a couple weeks, and I hadn't seen her since my, you know, being transformed, being saved. And I was like, how do I approach this?
Mhm.
And oh gosh, what is it? Because I don't know the Bible, like the books memorized, but what is it when Paul is talking about uh how to teach faith? Like it's like you're like a newborn baby and you can only feed it milk. You can't feed it solids.
Yeah.
So I was reading that morning, and I was like, okay, how, like, please show me, how do I approach this with her? And I met her at the door here and I was like, hey, how's it going? And she just started breaking down crying. And she's like, I'm just like, I'm feeling more depressed than I think I've ever felt, all that. And I was like, all right, God, I'm going all in. And the entire session, we just like, it was a little less movement and a little bit more talk, a little less action, a little bit more talk, but that talk was going to drive the action, and she was like, okay, I'm in,
Wow.
yeah. And so I do pray on it to make sure that I do approach it properly, that I don't feed the baby solids
Yeah.
before it's ready, and I feel like it's the same. Funny enough, with prayer, I've been talking that a lot about people, where with a lot of my friends, clients, all that. I was like, you know what? I felt like I was a baby just crying to God, like, what? Pick me up, and then a toddler being like, why aren't you giving me my candy? I asked for candy, and then I started to realize it. I was like, man, I am praying like my toddler asked me for stuff that's not good for him, that's not healthy, and with no pleases or thank yous.
Yeah.
So I started to come at it with, I trust you. This is what I'm asking for, but if it's not for me, show me what I'm here for, instead of just like, man, why aren't you giving me what I want? Like, I'm going to stomp my feet and have a tantrum,
Yeah.
And then, and I started to grow and accept it, understand it, like become the teenager and like fight back a little bit, slam the door like a couple of times. And then I was baptized and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm like either like now away in college or like to learn more, or I'm like out in the workforce now. Now I'm an adult and now I can, learn the hard way through things, but I know how to do it properly and be a just a proper human being instead of going out and acting like a toddler.
One of my favorite
Life.
one of my favorite mantras recently is
Yeah.
God will answer every prayer, but sometimes that answer will be nope.
Yeah, exactly. No, in the Bible study, I was talking about just this, where I felt like I was just like a toddler asking for things, and and so I actually started to tell my kids, I was like, is that how we ask God for things too? Like now I'm bringing that up. I'm like, do you hear mommy yelling to God, where's my candy?
Yeah.
And so then she goes, yeah, no, I tell my kids this, one of the moms, she goes, I tell my kids, this is exactly what God answers to me, what I answer to you. Whenever you ask me a question, it's going to be yes, no, or wait.
Yeah. Yes, no, or wait.
Yeah.
Love
Exactly.
Mhm.
The exploitation stuff at the start. This is the primary goal of why I'm even doing this. I call this podcast one small weapon in a greater army that I'm building to fight exploitation. So I'd really like to dive into that and how that affected you, and then how you might intend to use that to protect others
Yeah.
moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So how, yeah. Oh, absolutely I do. Yeah. I mean, I share my story with the women that I train. The women that I train self-defense, and I share it so that way that doesn't happen to them.
Hmm.
But I can't, I can't baby everybody, I can just give them tips to look out for. But it's not even just the tips, actually, because once again, like, somebody can just kind of shove the Bible down your throat and all that, but it's your confidence, like, you discovering it instead of just somebody telling you that something's out there.
Mhm.
You have to discover it on your own sometimes, but I just want to make sure that I do it in a way where if they do discover something, they have the wherewithal to stop it before anything worse happens.
Yeah.
That they see the signs before it's too late,
Mhm.
and so that's what I feel like I'm giving, because you do have to learn the hard ways through certain things, most of life. But if I'm able to open their eyes to the signs and the confidence to read the signs and act on them, to be impolite,
Mhm.
to those signs, not be afraid to cut off relationships before it gets bad, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be here
Yeah.
doing. So I want to. So sometimes, especially with women, it's hard for us to speak up. So I actually have girls, like young girls, teenagers, women, of all ages. One of the first things I have them do is yell as
Mm.
loud as they possibly can. I'm not going to yell into the microphone
Yeah.
because that's just going to burst it, hurt people's ears if you're on headphones, but I have them yell, just like, back off. Like, I even say, you know what, this is the one time to use profanity, because it
Mhm.
actually does draw attention. So I'm like, just yell, like, I want to hear you yell, back the F off, as loud as you possibly can. And they'll do it giggling. They'll do
That's
it,
hard.
it's
That's
so
hard to do with
hard.
children, yeah.
It's so hard. I'm like, no, do it again.
Mhm.
Do it again. Okay, let's do it together. I was like, okay, I'm going to blast the music so loud right now, so that way you can't even hear yourself. And that's when it starts to go. I'm like, okay, this is your homework. You're going to do this. You're going to yell that. You're just going to yell. Um, the top of your lungs in your car with the music blaring. So that way it's just like training a muscle. Like, you're training that muscle, and you might be afraid to move it through the full range of motion. You're like, I can't lift it yet.
Yeah.
So that's when I tell them is, I want you to go in your car and blast the music and just yell as loud as you possibly can to find that voice. You might not be able to find it in front of me, and that's fine.
Mhm.
Like, that's, to some of them, that's their first day that they met me,
Yeah.
know?
Well, they might not have ever used their voice.
Exactly. So I want to encourage that, so that way they know that they can use it. And so, even especially in the teen years, that's when self-harm comes in too, and that's being quiet and not using your voice.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I'm so grateful that my outlet was boxing and heavy metal.
Yeah. Well,
I just would literally, I needed a place to scream. If I didn't have a place to scream and to punch things and people, I would
Good.
have
yeah.
been a completely different person. That's what punching does. It allows you to scream everything out into that punch. That's why it's so cathartic.
Mhm.
And I actually mean it figuratively and literally. I actually tell people, like, if you're having trouble holding your breath, I want you to yell, like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, okay, whew, I feel my lungs working the right way, but it's the same here. Like, be okay with using your voice. And I learned that initially, growing up, that I could, and that, I had moments of thoughts of self-harm, all that growing up. But then I had that community and that availability to just yell at the top of my lungs and hit things. Like we had a bag in our garage, and I would just go wail at it. Oh my gosh, I didn't even care about form. I would just like start.
Just smash it.
Oh yeah, sometimes even headbutting it. I was like,
Get that outlet.
yeah, exactly. So what I want to give people through what I've been through is the ability to speak up. So unfortunately, that wasn't enough for me. Like I didn't truly find my voice enough to then speak up because I was such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I was such a people pleaser. You know, I did get out of it once or like the first time was after boxing, and I learned how to stand up to the bullies, and I actually cursed them all.
Good.
I'm done with you guys. Like I was like, yeah, I'm done. Literally last day of school, I did that. I was like, whoo, I feel good. I was like, wow. But then I went back to the old habit, of people pleasing. And then, then in college, got into the abusive relationship. He was a narcissist. I idolized him, and it was just, I can't blame everything on him. Like I was definitely idolizing him. And, but then he started to manipulate more and more. So I wasn't physically abused, but I was manipulated so much that my entire body rejected him. And I thought I was going to die. I couldn't keep anything down. I would throw up anything I eat for weeks, and I had to go to the hospital and stay in the hospital just to be on an IV. Like I literally couldn't keep anything down. Like it was the IVs in the hospital that saved me. So that's just to prove that you don't have to be physically hit to be completely wrecked. It took me 2 years to finally survive, or to finally feel like myself again. And yeah, that's when I found fitness, and that's what really got me back. And then that's when I met my husband too, was like literally right when I became my new self. And I met him, and I'm so glad that I met him at that point in my life. And so, so I want to give people the voice, but I want them to truly believe it. Like I didn't have somebody to tell me how to use my voice. I would yell, I would scream, I would get into the mosh pit, I would go nuts, I would hit things, but I wasn't okay with doing it for me, like to stand up for myself. It was cathartic, but it wasn't protection. It wasn't me being like, it's okay to speak up for myself. Like because of all the people pleasing, I would need an outlet too. And I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And, so through all those experiences, it's so crazy to say, like, I'm grateful that I get to be in this position, that it's made me stronger, and I get to be a role model, and I get to share all this with people. So that way people, like these women and girls, don't have to go through what I did, especially in what's going on in the world right now. It's, there is quite a movement right now with women, with us standing up for ourselves more and more. And I'm all for it. I really am. But then what's so hard though is that when we start to have to stand up for ourselves so much in such a toxic society, then we don't have space to honor our feminine.
No, we've talked that a few times.
Yeah. So I love being in here. And because I get to express that feminine part of me in such a masculine sport, we are mischievous, so I like to be like, okay, we can be like a little bit more mischievous with this, just thinking like blunt force,
right?
So I like to honor that and keep my femininity going inside of here. And that's why I love my women's classes too, but then that's why I'm also just so grateful for my husband, because most people see the tough me, but then I get to go home and be the gentle and vulnerable me. And he nurtures that. Like he is incredible.
Wow, that's special.
It's like Daniel talked about that balance between like having the tenderness for the flock, but the violence for the wolf.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When he said that, I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's a good one.
chills.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta write that one down.
It's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Man, no, I saw this video. It was crazy. I don't know, like, to the extent of people's faiths, what they believe in when it comes to spiritual warfare, but I saw this video posted, and this mom was being so tender with her son. He's like, I see something right there, and she was like, it's okay, honey, like, what's going on, tell me more, what do you see? He's like, I see this big man, and he's dark, and she's like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And then she turns around. She goes, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. Just like goes full warrior mode. I was like, you are not welcome here. We are covered in the blood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Right.
I was like, that mom just switched from this to like this,
Yeah.
just like so quickly. And
That's cool. I want to see that video.
I know. I was like, wow. Just like the switch going from like the mom with her cubs to just being like on the hunt, like, you get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. Who's your favorite fighter?
Katie Taylor.
We're gonna have to
Touch on that. We'll
Yeah.
get
You're
into
gonna
it.
have to. I mean, I do have other favorite fighters, but she's not only inspired me through boxing, but also through my faith. And of course, I have the old school favorite fighters. I love Sugar Ray Robinson, and then Joe Louis. I love
It's
Joe
old school,
Louis.
old school.
Yeah. And then of course, I love Muhammad Ali. I love his footwork. I'm all about footwork. And so, what's actually really cool? There's another video going around right now that I saw where before Mike Tyson came to Jesus and came to faith is before his Evander Holyfield fight. And did you see this?
No, but it's on fire.
So he's just trash talking. He's
I'm
like,
going to eat your
he's
children.
just he's like, just Jesus this, Jesus that, blah blah blah, like all that. And then he's like, he doesn't know what's coming. And then Evander Holyfield's just like,
Oh,
so
yeah, I
calm.
did see that.
Yeah, and then he has Philippians, is it 4:13? Am I butchering this? Where you can do all things in Christ.
Yeah.
Is that right? He had that on his robe, and he just walked just so calm.
Yeah.
You know? And what's really cool? Fun fact. So legacy. My coach passed down his legacy to me, and his coach passed down the legacy to him. But his coach, so my coach's coach, was the 1984 or one of the 1984 Olympics coaches, and guess who was on that team? Evander Holyfield.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's
So
pretty cool.
some of the things that we do in here, they were doing. So some of those
That's
secrets,
sweet. Yeah.
That's
that like I don't share them with everybody, but I'm like, by the way, this isn't just boxing,
Yeah.
this isn't just weightlifting, this is history.
That's cool.
People
That is really
do
cool.
this for decades, since the Olympics. Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, that team for the 1984 Olympics, that's who we descend from. That's our line.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
Do you know Ross Enemat?
What's that?
Do you know Ross Enemat?
Yes, I do.
He's how I got into functional fitness was through him.
Yes.
I just love that guy.
Wait, is that Katie Taylor's coach?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Is she the best in the world that
she
barely
is.
never gets touched? Yeah.
Oh, he's
that's her.
fantastic.
He's the best.
When like she went through, there's an amazing documentary about her, by the way, when she went through her issues with her dad and cheating, like infidelity and all that. Like he raised her in the boxing gym. Like he was her coach for so long. And they were like this, but then that just because of her faith too, that just shook her. And she's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. They have come back, they have rekindled that relationship, and
That's cool.
which is really great. But then Ross became her coach.
I love that guy.
And
He's an
I was
absolute
like,
psychopath.
whoa, seriously, I was like, I like this guy. If he when he corners, like listen to how he corners, like especially in her last fight that she just had against Amanda Serrano. So his corner, it was just pure poetry, and it was just, wow, so clear. And you just want to keep hearing more. It's not just like F him up, let's go,
Yeah.
Like he's hurt, you're not, let's go. Or she's tired, you're not, just go. Or like just keep throwing punches. That's actually what Amanda Serrano's corner said was, just keep throwing. She'll run into one of those.
Eventually.
Like eventually, yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, I don't even coach like that. What's happening right now? Please. Like, I was like praying for her too, because I love her. I was like, I hope that she, devises a better plan
Right.
in there than that. But she
go for it.
didn't. Katie Taylor, that was one of her best performances because she was just her too.
Mm.
She's an outside fighter. And but yeah, no, that just listen to his coaching. It's inspiring. There's so
Well, maybe we
much-
can make
so
a
much-
clip and send it to him and see if he'll watch it.
Oh my gosh. So my coach fought on the same card as her when she was just 12 years old. This is what I hope gets to her. Okay. So he told me story, like this is how I found out about her. He told me the story where he was in the Masters division. I think this was a ringside international tournament in the States. And so I think she was like 12 or 14 and he was in his 40s. Okay. So this was 20 years ago. And so he got invited to pray with their team. And so they prayed, then they were just having this casual conversation. She with her amazing Irish accent, they were just chatting away. And then they're like, Katie, you're up, and she's like, okay. And goes up there, beats her post to post, comes out. What were we talking about again?
That's really cute.
She's 12 years old.
12 years old, just and then invites Bobby. So he remembers that, or he remembered that so vividly. I always hoped that. I mean, she grew to fame so amazingly. So I'm like, I doubt she'll ever know who I am.
You never know.
I know, exactly.
You
But
never know.
I hope that she knows, even to a 40-something-year-old man that's been in the sport for a long time, really moved him.
That's
you
cool.
know?
That is cool.
Well, Katie Taylor or Ross Enemat, we'll send it out.
Yeah,
Let's see
please.
if we get a share.
Exactly, please.
Favorite verse?
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a really good question. I mean, I've been going through so many. I feel like I have to get my Bible out.
No, just
To-
rapid fire.
Oh
Off the
man,
top of your head.
but okay. Geez. I mean, what did bring me to it was he trains my hands for battle. My arms
Yeah.
can bend a bow of bronze. I mean, that's what I can recite
Mhm.
over and over again. I've always wanted to get that tattooed in my arm, right here, almost like the laces.
Yeah,
That's
that's
That's cool.
And have that but not actually the lines be laces, but the lines be
Yeah,
text,
That would be really cool.
So that's what comes to mind. But more recently, it has been more about the humbling nature of everything. It's not like, let's go, let's go to battle. It's more, I've just been, because it was Philippians that I started the orchard with, that's when I joined. And that's what started to really get me is, not the I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, through what you can endure. But it was more of anything can happen to me and I'll be content.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've found the secret to being content.
Yeah.
That's what David
Peace in the
talked about.
chaos.
No, I know
First,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
for sure. And that's
Yeah.
what's really started to give me. I mean, I have so many favorites now that I've really
Yeah.
now they're really dove in. I have so many favorites, but the one that I initially started repeating for boxing to get me through my fear and the anxiety was Psalm 18. So,
I love it.
yeah, 32. Yeah, 32.
Do you have a favorite worship song?
Ooh, that's a good one because that's all I can listen to now. I mean, the one actually, yeah, the one that I just cried on repeat to almost for an entire hour in my car, and I still cry to it. The oceans where my feet may fail. That one, it's take me further than my feet.
God.
Well, one of mine was what would be your walkout song right now?
Ooh, oh, I love that. Okay, so I was actually just thinking about that. So funny enough, do you guys know Lost and Found? The band, I think it's a band, Lost and Found.
Mm.
So they have a song called Deep Waters, Psalm 18.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, okay, I want this as my walkout
Nice.
song now.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah. I know it's not like it's not Lose It by Eminem or like that.
Cool.
Sorry, guys.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, if you look at Katie Taylor's last walkout song, I mean, it was just a very like slow paced, but very moving worship song, you know? And so many people were texting me as that was happening. They were like, whoa, I wouldn't want to be, even my husband was like, I wouldn't want to fight her after she walked out to that.
Right? Calm, like God.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's not just like the deep, and fast-paced like rock or rap that you need to walk out to. It's what really hits you here.
What's going to get you ready?
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ariel, thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, you know what? Can I end with something that's a fun little realization for when it comes to training? The 3 body parts or muscle groups that are often overlooked: the lats, the core, and the
That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I keep telling people: lats, core, glutes, lats, core, glutes, lats,
My
core,
lats
glutes.
are already huge.
Yeah. So,
I just
that's good. That's good. No, seriously, that's what you want. Like when I see a fighter, especially in front of me that I'm about to spar, if their arms are huge, I'm like, oh, they're going to be slow. If their lats are huge, I'm like, oh no, they're going to have some power. Seriously. I was like, oh man, they're going to have some power behind that. And so what I say now is think of it like the Holy Trinity of muscle groups.
There we go.
Lats, core, glutes,
All
the
right.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you're not training those, everything else will fail.
Okay.
Love
So
it.
that's what I want to end with.
Cool. Oh, thank you so
Yes.
much. It's really fun.
In perfect timing. There's someone at the door.
Yeah, there's one of my fighters.
Perfect.
Uh-huh.
Cool. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
thank
It was
you.
such an honor.